Hey everyone, thanks for getting on. You're probably just joining us if you're on the West Coast, you're getting out of work, East Coast or Central, you're getting out of dinner. Thanks for joining us tonight. As you know, if you've been with us before the masterclass, we always like to give an extra 2 or 3 minutes for everyone to get on. So we'll get started about 3 after the hour. Let everyone get on. Thanks for joining us. I do want to let you know that Jennifer Lucero, who's been a property counselor, holy cow, almost 15 years, has done many portfolios and worked with many clients. Maybe some of you have already worked with Jen. She'll be moderating with me tonight, and excited to have her here because not only is she an investor, but she has probably done more portfolios than anyone I know when it comes to build to rent. So we're excited to have her on. Jen, thanks for being here. Jaidyn will also be here. Most of you guys know Jaidyn keeps me straight. My head would probably fall off sideways if she wasn't. So always good to have our team with us. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight is our team. So again, appreciate you guys being here. We'll get started in about, and if you want to share where you're coming in from. We've had some people recently, last month's webinar, we had some Japan, I think Mexico, a lot of California, some of our friends from Toronto. So if you want to share where you're coming from, that's always a fun thing to know. And questions. There are no bad questions. That's what this masterclass is about. Don't worry about interrupting me. I'm totally fine with that. Jen's going to be here to help answer questions. And if something's really pertinent, I'll answer them as we go. And we're also going to save time at the end. So we're going to have a great time tonight. This is going to be a very informative and I think easy to understand a niche of real estate investing that has really made a difference in a lot of lives, including my own. So we're excited to share that. And I'm seeing now that it's just 3 after the hour. So let's get started. So my name is Jim Sheils. I'm a partner at Southern Impression Homes. Again, this is not legal advice or accounting advice. It's just for learning about real estate investing, especially our new construction build to rent turnkey system. This is a picture of Robert Kiyosaki. And it was kind of funny because I'm in a mastermind group with him here now. Holy cow, many years after reading his book, I was actually with him on Saturday. That's when I took this picture. And I'm in a small mastermind group with Robert, who's 79 years old, still going. And, I give a lot of credit to him because a mentor of mine, my first mentor when I was 22 years old, handed me these 2 books. And it really expanded my thought process and my goals and what I wanted to accomplish in my life, especially Rich Dad Poor Dad, where I first learned about real estate. And it fascinated me, the different things that you could do with it. Again, I grew up near Wall Street in North Jersey. I had no interest in that lifestyle. It wasn't for me. And Rich Dad Poor Dad kind of changed that. And I was able to talk with Robert about that this weekend. And I took my first real estate course basically off of that book, and it was $5,000. We're talking back in 1998. People thought I was insane, crazy, you're getting ripped off. Why would you do that? But I had read up on this person, and they had done a lot of real estate deals, and I wanted to do the same. And the reason why is I wanted passive income and active freedom. I learned from people that were older than me at that time. In my early 20s, I was impressionable, but there were people that had bought properties years back in the 70s and were living a really good life. They had a good long buy and hold, and it was producing passive income. And that's what I wanted. I said, if I can get my real estate in place within a few years, I can have freedoms that my parents didn't have and have the lifestyle that I always dreamed of having. And I'm proud to say real estate's been able to provide that. It all started with this one right here. If you look at this, this was my first deal before I came to Florida in Lompoc, California, 3-family house. I hit a home run on my first deal. I bought it for 152.5, sold it for 570 today. Holy cow. I mean, it's worth a lot more than that, almost 900. I wasn't very good at rehabbing. I've done over 1,000 rehabs, but you look at this, I got more paint on me than I did on the walls. And the guys that were helping me were like, yeah, I don't think you should help as much as you want to help. So let us handle this. And I learned that there were systems to real estate. I wasn't good at all the pieces, but if I could learn certain pieces, then it could prosper. And it became very obvious to me too, being in that first 10 years in real estate or 5 years in real estate, it was about time in the market, not timing the market. Just like I showed you with that last property, I spent, a few years in the market, and that is what created the wealth. I wasn't trying to time the market. There was time in the market. And that's something that I have learned that long-term buy and hold, when you look out holding a property more than 3 to 5 years and on in the right markets, is where most wealth is created for people in real estate investing. And that's the key, long-term buy and hold. Yes, I've made money in flipping properties, but buying a piece of property and holding it for a longer term with the right fundamentals, it's hard to keep up with that. It's created the majority of my wealth for me. And for my parents right here, that's where I learned the lesson. I mean, my parents never made a lot of money. I was able to retire them in my late 20s from my real estate investments, which was something I was really proud of and grateful to do. But they were able to fund part of their retirement from this one property. You know, they bought in the early 70s for 49,000 and sold it for almost 600,000. And I thought, wow, what if I just did a few of those, you know, for the longer term, and no time like the present. And you know, going back even a generation further, this is the house that's still in my family in Ireland, 142 years. 142 years long-term buy and hold. My second cousin still owns it. And I'd gone over to see this, and obviously they're sitting very well in this property. And I thought, gosh, if I can just, again, hold property for the long term, it can make all the difference. Here you can see where I started my first business in Bakersfield, California, Central Florida. Here I'm cutting the ribbon with the mayor and our office staff there, where I created a business of fixing up old houses and renting them with investors or selling them to first-time home buyers. And it did well. But one thing I learned is it made me a lot of money, but it bankrupted my time. The reason why you're doing this is not to get into real estate investing. Most of you might have jobs or a great profession or other business. You're not looking to lose more time. You're looking to free up your time, buy back your time. This model did not work well for that, and I wanted to improve that for not only me but for my investors. And new construction changed everything. I went into that about a decade ago. So again, I've been in real estate investing for 25 years now, but the last 10 years is really when things have taken off. The new construction model has been a game changer. It's allowed me that life of freedom and adventure. I have a beautiful wife, 5 children that I love to adventure with. I take advantage of that as often as I can while running the business, whether we're in Nova Scotia, Australia, Puerto Rico, our home in Costa Rica, in Ireland, visiting relatives. This is something we really do cherish, and our real estate was able to pay for all of that. I was able to donate a kidney to my father 14 years ago. Again, something that I could have never done. I wouldn't have had the space or the financial resources to provide to make that surgery possible. My wife and I did a USA Today best-selling book. If you do want a free copy of this tonight, just go to Jaidyn at 18summers.com and ask her for a free copy. We'll mail that out to you. It's a great book. It's not just my story or our property counselor stories or many of our clients as well. It goes into the fundamentals and case studies of what has worked and what hasn't worked. Actual portfolios that have been built with new construction properties and why they got out of the older, smaller, not as nice fixer-uppers, and me as well, and the story of kind of my evolvement. I think you'll really enjoy it. Of course, it's got a twist of how to enjoy your family life with real estate, because that's one of my biggest passions of helping our investors. Also created a best-selling #1 Wall Street Journal book, something that a lot of people have read and I get to speak on quite a bit. Again, in a lot of real estate circles, it's well known. It's funny, I never thought I'd have a Wall Street Journal bestseller, but I'm also very proud to say that my real estate investments are what funded this. I was no known author or had a right to, but my wife and I put this together, and it went really well. Again, all paid by real estate. And I think that's where you got to stop and ask this question. This is really important. You know, what's your active freedom? What does active freedom look like for you? And you know, we surveyed our investors, and some of them were spending more time with loved ones, upgrading their health, pursuing their passions that they'd given up years ago and could finally go back to, traveling, getting to quit their jobs. We've had some buy planes with the rental income to continue that habit of flying, and retiring their parents. That's a big one that I hear, being able to retire an older generation, which is pretty cool. Again, the new construction really came to me. I partnered with Chris and Carter Funk. They had someone I had worked with for years. They were managing a large portfolio of my own rentals and doing a good job at it. And they approached me and said, why don't we build our own properties instead of doing these fixer-uppers? And that's really how it started. And then I became a partner with them in Southern Impression Homes. Our team is not just me and Jen and Jaidyn. Again, there are 140 plus of us in many markets of Florida, making this all happen. And that's something that's super important. Real estate investing, I learned, is not a solo sport. It is a team sport to make it go right. And so that's what we do. We help people build successful portfolios in new construction. We'll talk about that now, and it's become a passion project of mine because it's very cool to be able to retire people or to hear them say, hey, I have enough income to be doing this or doing something I never could, or to give to this cause. And that's the power of what real estate can do. And it can also create generational wealth, which is something I look at very seriously now. Our old office in Jacksonville started with this building on the left, which I'd say wasn't in the best neighborhood or in the best condition. And now we've moved into the office on the right, and we're actually building new construction properties in all over Florida, and then working on some bigger construction projects for some larger groups in other states. And it's pretty cool to watch how it's happened. And again, this could have never happened staying with my old rehab model. It could only happen with the new construction. So our company was built by investors and for investors. It's not, again, we weren't a Wall Street group. We were not realtors. We had real estate licenses, but our main objective was to buy investment property. And that's when we started building investment property. And the term build to rent didn't even exist 10 years ago when we started this. So what we do is we work with wealthy and ultra wealthy people to build successful rental portfolios for long-term wealth. And what does that niche exactly look like? These are affordable new construction properties in affordable growth markets with low interest rate financing. And a lot of you are saying, hold it, Jim, you can't get low interest rate financing nowadays. We're going to show you how you can actually through us. And these low interest rate mortgages help ensure cash flow today. And of course, you got to have good world-class management in place, and we have that. So this is our entire business model, and it takes quite a village to make that run. So what are the three parts of successful real estate investing for especially the new construction model? You got to build it right. You got to finance it right. That's not only the mortgages, but also the insurance, because a lot of people, there's rumors out there, you can't get insurance in Florida. That's just not true. But you got to get that finance right, and you got to get it managed right. And if you can build right, finance right, and manage right, now you can build a successful portfolio that's not eating up a ton of your time, is showing more and more production as a few years go by, and it gives you the freedoms that you're looking for. And that's what we aim to provide, and proud to do it for so many people. Property management, again, is key. You can talk to Jennifer or one of our property counselors on that. This is an important part of the equation that we do bring in. And the type of properties we bring this in for are these sweet spots. We build residential financing, residential property that can get residential financing because it's long interest debt. They're in desirable areas, and they have a great occupancy and resaleability, single family homes, duplexes, and quads. And we're building all over Florida right now. These are the markets that we're building in. And when you stop and look, if you're a Jersey boy like me, you're saying, hold on, Jim, where is Orlando? Where is Miami? Where is Tampa? We focused very intentionally on second tier markets, markets where there was a lot of great fundamentals that I'm going to talk about. And those other areas, they were just priced too high. When you're hearing about areas settling in Florida, those are the areas that went up really high and now are coming back, which we thought would happen. And the cash flow numbers weren't working. These are the up and coming markets we see to have some very strong fundamentals. And those fundamentals are economic growth, population growth, affordability. And guys, this is the key word of 2025. If any of you watched me before, affordable housing is in shortage still. And this is where some of the best returns and best safety can have when you're investing in real estate. Desirability. Do people actually want to live there? And also, when I talk about desirability, I include, can landlords actually collect their rent there? I don't want to go to an area where it's not landlord friendly. I want to go where it's landlord friendly. Our Florida markets have that. And again, healthy supply and demand. I want to go to a place where there's, excuse me, a lack of properties, not an oversupply of properties. Again, that's why we're in these growth markets that are still getting population, and there's a shortage of housing. Right now, we have almost $1 billion under asset management, producing about $56 million in annual recurring revenue for our clients. Almost 200 million in equity has been created for our clients in just the last few years. We currently have over 1,000 active current investors that we're working with. We've developed over 9,000 units, house over 10,000 people, have over 120 employees, and that's growing by the day. And to work with us, is a minimum requirement of $80,000. Now, I know some people are just getting started like I was, and our property portfolios might not be the right thing for you. But for the people that have saved and are ready for this, if you can start with an $80,000 minimum investment, Jennifer or one of our other property counselors can show you how to build a portfolio within a few short years. But we do require an $80,000 minimum investment to get that started. So we also have 5,000 lots in Florida. So to show we own 5,000 lots shows you how dedicated we are and how much we believe in the Florida markets. And some of you are probably saying, okay, well, how have the properties fared? Well, in the last 5 years, if you invested with us, you would have made almost a 70% return year over year. That's year over year, almost 70% return, opposed to a good real estate fund that would maybe have gotten you 13.5 if you're in the right one, or the S&P, 10.5%. Now, both great returns, but this shows the leverage of owning real estate. You know, that real estate fund that collects monies from all of us small Main Street guys has to go out and get those higher returns to be able to pay us 13.5%. And that's if we're lucky. That's why I've always liked, although I invest in all three of these, I like owning my own real estate. I have the control. And when I plant the seeds in the right spot, I know that I can get the most exponential returns out of any three offerings like this one. So wealth, independence, and security are not just the products of work. And that's what became very clear to me at a young age. I had some great mentors. They said your paycheck will not be able to, you're not going to be able to have your paycheck keep up with what you need. So you can't just trade hours. You have to be able to do something else. You have to be able to invest. And there's three types of investors that are out there right now. This is kind of our triangle, I think, that really breaks apart the three different main sectors that I see. The first is the fix and flip. And I started here fixing up properties, selling them. It can be a great way to get started, but it's very time intensive. There's nothing long term. And a lot of people, again, are looking to buy back time, not spend more time on a second or third job. Fixing and flipping properties, especially if you try to do it from afar, from out of area, can be very difficult. So you can make great cash, but again, you're trading time for dollars, and it can really eat up a lot of your time. The second one is the do-it-yourself landlord. Now, this starts to plant seeds for long-term growth. Again, remember that one thing I talked about, time in the market, not just timing the market, being in and out in 6 to 10, 12 months, time in the market for at least a few years. A do-it-yourself landlord can do this. Now, but a do-it-yourself landlord, and you might enjoy this, finding your own realtors, your own contractors, negotiating with tenants yourself, or finding your own property manager. This can be a great way. This is where I started. And it was a lot of work. And again, you are starting from square one on everything. You have to find all the pieces. And so again, great way where I've actually made my first million in the do-it-yourself landlord. But again, it was bankrupting my time. And where we've been able to buy back time for a lot of our clients and myself is the turnkey real estate 2.0. Now, turnkey real estate is when someone provides a property, can help you get financing, and will bring in the management. It's more of a newer concept that came in post 2008 to help people take advantage of the great deals that were out there. We call it the 2.0 because although I used to do a lot of fixer-uppers, several thousands that we finally did over the years, I don't do those anymore. I only do new construction. We'll talk about why. The new construction is where we focus. This is the engaged level where people should not have to be spending more than 1 to 2 hours a month overseeing a portfolio. That's after we've built it right for them, finance it right for them, and we're managing it right. They've been able to delegate into our system, own the real estate for long-term growth, generational wealth, cash flow, and let us do most of the work. So without your money working for you, you'll never stop working. That's important. Why real estate is so, pertinent to start investing in, I think, right away. Now, asset owners always finish it ahead. So like I was talking about, again, just to reiterate, that good income, it's great, but it's hard to build consistent wealth off it. Only people who own assets are able to do that. So as you accumulate, and it doesn't have to be a long term, it can be over a few short years, you really can start to extract more cash and a net worth. Tom is a great example of this, ran a really successful mortgage business, and he really stepped in on quite a few properties with us in a short 2-year span because he wanted to be able to semi-retire and spend time with his wife. Her and I have similar stories because she had needed a kidney. I donated a kidney. I was able to get them some referrals at the Mayo Clinic. Tom wanted to be there for that, but he wanted to have money to fall back on. And, within a few years working in our system, he had over $1 million in equity and almost $12,000 a month in cash flow. And Tom sent me this, a couple of years ago. We're on Facebook going back and forth. He's asking about my newest child. And he said, hey, by the way, I retired from Fairway Mortgage yesterday. You played a big part in allowing that to happen. Thank you. And Jen, who's on the phone, actually picked out all of Tom's properties. So kudos to Jen. And there he is, a former Air Force guy, still buying his new plane. Tom says the last rental he bought was just to pay the payment on his plane. So I always love to hear that the passive income, the cash flow was paying for his passion and hobby to continue. But we love getting notes like this. And again, what did Tom do? He took the educated risk to get into some properties. And it started with this one property, $88,000 investment, a duplex in Punta Gorda, Florida. That's where it all started. And then he went into 4 more properties, then an additional 2, and was able to, again, leverage forward, which someone like Jennifer can show you on one of the discovery calls how Tom did this. But again, Tom is sitting in a great position right now. And remember, this is really important. I know you're kind of probably feeling right now, guys, that you're drinking out of an open fire hydrant. You're saying, oh my gosh, all of these factors to look at in a market, and what are we exactly doing? So let's slow down for a minute. And let's talk about how I've made money, Tom, and so many others. How have we made money in real estate? Okay, and these are the 5 ways, and they're very unique to certain other asset classes or investment opportunities, and ones that I really love. But the 5 ways, if you decide to start investing in real estate, if you already are, this, are appreciation, leverage, meaning if you buy a $200,000 house, you don't need $200,000, you probably need $40,000, right? So you have that leverage of using mortgages, debt pay down, a tenant pays down your property, not you. I love when that happens. Tax benefits, holy moly. Some of you right now might be selling your practice or business, and you've seen the benefits that real estate can shield for you from not paying more taxes than you should. I love the tax benefits that have come to me through real estate. I love how you said you can appreciate while depreciating, and the tax benefits are phenomenal. And one of the biggest bills we'll pay in our life, guys, is the amount of taxes we pay. And then there's cash flow, and cash flow is definitely something that I've learned to lean into more after planting seeds, letting them sprout and grow. And I really appreciate cash flow. The one distinction that I'll tell you that kind of sets us apart from a lot of other real estate providers out there is cash flow is not what I normally focus the heaviest on. And the reason why is when I first went into it, if you read my book, you'll see this, I went into a large amount of properties that were promised higher cash flow, but they weren't in the best condition, weren't in the best areas, and very hard to manage. And that promised cash flow didn't seem to produce what I thought it would, and they didn't appreciate as much. So I switched my tactics many years ago to sacrifice a little bit of cash flow up front to plant into better properties that have better appreciation. And I can tell you guys, 25 years in, the majority of the multi-million dollars that I've made is from the appreciation, planting the seeds, time in the market, and then the cash flow lag behind it on good properties. What I found is other people will invest into a property because it's cheap and it promises cash flow. And by year 2, 3, or 4, they're tired, they sell, sometimes at a loss, and they're out. Better properties with longevity will keep you in the game longer and keep that, I think, again, number one is where I've made most of my money. So let's talk about some of the common pitfalls. Common pitfalls of real estate investing that we've learned and Jennifer's learned, our whole team has, working with over 1,000 investors and our own history. Short-term thinking. I can't stress this enough. Are you looking at time in the market or time in the market? I got to be in and out and make this in the next 6 months. In 12 months, I need to be retired off this first duplex that I bought. That's very short-term thinking. When I've interviewed, hundreds of successful real estate investors, it's the long-term thinkers, the ones that will, again, plant seed, water it, let it nurture and grow. And within a few years, now you can be continually eating off of it. But if you're always trying to go in and out and time something and jump around, normally not going to create the wealth that you want. Do it yourself. I was a do-it-yourselfer when I started. You saw that terrible picture of me with the paint all over my face. I learned pretty quick that I can't do it all myself, especially if I was going to grow my own portfolio. Again, my goal was to buy back time, be able to be with the people I love, doing the things I like to do, causes I care about. If you do it yourself, you can't do that. Real estate investing is a team sport. And the people who line up a good team around them usually have the best odds for success. And again, I've kind of alluded to this one, chasing cheap. And why can I stand so firm on this? Well, because I'm guilty of this. This is something that I was taught 27 years ago when I first started taking real estate investing courses. Just buy up cheap properties. That's going to be the way to go. And there was some merit to that. But if I could teach myself, if I could go back to that younger self and have one lesson given to him, I'd say, hey, young Jim, own less of better quality. That's it. That has been my big aha. And Jennifer's probably heard me say that line 100 times plus, but on podcasts, on stage, in the book, own less of better quality. I was chasing cheap. I was spinning my wheels on a lot of things. And I've been able to downsize the portfolio to go to way more equity, way more cash flow with owning less properties. And so that's what I encourage of our people. Don't chase cheap. Misdirected charity. This one's pretty straightforward. Some of you have heard the story. The first 5 rentals I owned in Bakersfield, California, I took more excuses than I did rent payments, and it almost bankrupted me. And what I learned is I'm involved in a number of different charities and causes I really care about, but I keep my rentals and my charity work completely separate. Because what I learned is if I confuse my rental properties as charity, I can't give anywhere else. It takes away my money, takes away my time. So I've gotten really clear about keeping those two separate. And I always have a property manager manage my properties. I don't like doing it on my own. And this really helps keep this law in effect as well. Wrong partners. You team up the wrong partners in anything, in friends, in marriage, and in real estate investing, you're going to probably have some problems. So you got to be really picky about your partners. What's the track record? Or do they have a niche? Can they say to you in one sentence, what do they do in real estate investing, in health and wellness, whatever it is? If you're probably picking the wrong partner, if they're jumping all around and promising you 7 different things till Sunday, someone who's very clear, has a good track record, and can tell you what they do and what they bring to the table, that's usually a starting point for the right partner. You got to avoid those wrong partners. So again, our plan for 2025, affordable new construction, affordable growth markets with low interest mortgage financing to help ensure cash flow. Savvy investors use proven systems and strategies and guidance to make money. It's not just about that do-it-yourself or fly by the seat of your pants. Systems will keep things straight, will help you make better decisions, and give you those repeatable results. So again, remember, build right, finance right, manage right. How do you get that wheel really rolling? This is super important right now. How many of you have heard that interest rates are super high, that, man, they're just ruining real estate? These are a big problem, right? Every one of us has heard that. So one of the most important things that we do, besides providing new construction properties in good growth areas, is we provide financing, in-house financing. So a lot of people, if you went into the bank right away today and said, I'm going to buy a duplex in Florida, they might tell you, okay, well, we're going to start you at a 7% interest rate, which overall the years is not bad, but right now that's hurting cash flow. So what we've done with a special backing that we have, we actually pre-buy mortgages for our clients on any house we build, where they can lock in as low as 3.75 on a 10-year fixed 30-year AM. Or if you like the longer financing, a 30-year fixed 30-year amortization for 4.25. Now, this is a very important position that we've gotten ourselves into. We have a very healthy balance sheet. We're partially owned by a large Japanese company over 330 years old, Sumitomo Forestry. They allow us to work deals with banks to buy large amounts of mortgage money and pass the savings along to you. And for a lot of you who know the easy math, to start locked in at 4.25 on a long-term loan, opposed to 7 or 7.25, is just a game changer and gives you that advantage. This is for in-house financing on your mortgage, which we provide. You want to see if a builder has what's called a builder forward commitment. Do they have a balance sheet to work with a bank and do that? And do they offer something like this? These are important questions, whether you work with us or someone else, because you don't have to take at face value what people talk about as important in the mortgage, general industry. There are ways to get lower long-term debt right now. Just need to know how to find them. And another thing with financing the property right, is insurance. I'm going to show you some actual insurance quotes in a minute. You hear, oh my gosh, I've heard insurance in Florida is so expensive. And Jennifer and I always laugh and say, well, what property are you exactly referring to? Because there is a big difference in that type of property. So again, economic growth, population growth, affordability, desirability, healthy supply and demand. We want to see all of these happening wherever we're building our new construction turnkey properties. Now, one of the things that give us the real focus on Florida is this chart right here. This is the Fed chart that shows the population growth of Florida. I mean, and look at this since the early 60s. That red line going up like a hockey stick, that's Florida. And again, I like Alabama. I think it's a beautiful area. I like the Southeast. We don't build there. Why? Because we like to have the wind at our back. There was something said to me years ago that population growth fixes a lot of potential problems, especially for real estate. Population is important for real estate. And when I see a flat line like that, Alabama just hasn't had the growth patterns that I look for. When you see a population growth like that, you know that there's a greater demand on houses and a greater need for it. And that's one of the reasons we work in Florida. So another thing that's interesting about Florida, again, there's a lot of talks about the upper luxury areas of Miami or Tampa. We don't work in luxury. We work in workforce housing, affordable housing. And right now, the Sunshine State has only 25 affordable rental homes available for every 100 renters that need it. I want you to think about that now. Why we stick with the workforce housing. First of all, the big builders don't want to build it. Secondly, it's one of the most needed right now. And so again, for every 25 rental homes, there's 100 applicants looking to rent that property. And I'll talk about that a little bit more, show some stats. And right now, overall, this is not an exaggeration. The U.S. is short 4 million homes for existing people. Now, I could do a whole talk on this one right now, but I won't have time to. This shows the permits being issued in the U.S., specifically the Southeast. And you look at these, they have plummeted since January of 2023. And so we are about 2.5 years past that point right now, which means about beginning of last year in 2024, COVID inventory, we all finally got our materials, built the properties. A lot of inventory came on the market the beginning of last year. Man, and it slowed down rentals for definitely a little bit of while of getting them filled. But now that inventory is gone, and since no permits have been pulled, we're going to have what looks like a clear inventory shortage by the end of 2025. In fact, I want you guys to stop, mark this right now, because I don't mind being wrong, but I think I'm going to be pretty right on this. Not because I'm smart, just because I can read the charts. By the end of this year, by the end of 2025, in the affordable housing areas, especially the key markets in Florida that we focus in, there will be a housing shortage once again, just like we saw in 2020, not as severe, as low of inventory, but definitely a shortage for what's needed in certain sectors. And we are super excited to still be building and help try to provide some of the shortfall on that. And inventory levels, if you always look to see what listings are at. Okay, what I've heard about Florida right now too is, oh, there's too many listings. The amount of inventory has gone up. Well, this was a chart I think Jennifer actually sent me. And if you look at the end of 2019, there's just over 20,000 properties on the rental market in the greater Jacksonville, in the Florida area. And now there's just over 20,000 at the end of last year. What does this tell me? And that's with a lot of population growth in those last 5 years, as you know. The news is always talking about big jumps in inventory from 2020. But before COVID started, that 2019 was a very normal year. And we're back at those inventory levels. So we're seeing a real normalizing market now, which is great, again, for that long-term buy and hold investor. Time in the market, guys, not timing the market. I can't stress that enough. Everyone, again, when they first learn about real estate investing, oh, let me get in and out of this real quick, and I'm going to do so well. It's more boring than that. It's more simple. You plant the seed, you water it, you nurture it, you let it grow. It's time in the market. Prosperity in the Age of Decline, one of the best books I've ever read. Again, I'm a big fan of ITM Economics. I've been a member for years. This book really helped me forge what I look for in our whole entire business model of providing new construction workforce housing. And you can see in February of 2025, when they came out with their overall report, look at housing down there. that red down in the bottom, it's gone through what they say a recession the last 2 years because of the interest rate spikes and so many people just going on the sidelines because of it. So that slowed down housing, and they're showing us now what's gone through in the last 2 years is about to go through a major uptick, what they've predicted for about the next 5 to 7 years. And these guys have had a 94.6% accuracy since the early 80s. So we are really looking forward to what we see coming ahead in our key markets in Florida and a few other states. Once again, affordable new construction, growth markets, low interest financing to help cash flow. This is Ocala. One of my favorite markets, one of Jennifer's favorite markets, one of our most affordable markets, one of our markets with the lowest hurricane risk zone in the state of Florida. And you're probably looking at this if you're from the Northeast or California and going, whoa, whoa, Jim, hold on. This is a new construction, 3-bedroom, 2-bath home for $269. Yes, that's for $269. People think that, again, things can't be done for this cheap anymore from what we've been told, but I'm here to tell you that they can. And an important number to look on this, again, this is just one of our general number sheets. You want to dig deeper into the pro formas, the numbers. That's when you get on a discovery call with Jennifer. But these give you some of the overviews, the purchase price, what will your mortgage be with our in-house financing, the average property taxes per month. And this is a great one. I love this one. Insurance, $62 a month for full coverage insurance. And this is an actual quote from someone, a company that we work with that has insured thousands and thousands of our properties. This company insures 90% of my own investment properties. And you say, gosh, how is that possible? New construction is treated differently. The properties you hear about that have the high insurance in Florida, they're much closer to the water, probably a lake or usually the ocean. And they were built in a very early age, pre 1995 to 2004. In 2004, all the rules changed where you have to build on higher ground, build with stronger fasteners. So what happens? The insurance companies on these new constructions, they give you great rates because they see it as a lower risk. A lot of people go $62 a month. I thought it was $620 a month. Not the case. Again, and when you look at these cash flow right off the bat, and time in the market. When you go through the fundamentals like Jennifer will, and the IRR, the internal rate of return, combining all those 5 things of, very normalized appreciation, rental growth, debt reduction, you're looking at a 5-year hold profit of $135,000. $135,000 is a great payout. And imagine if you own 3, 5, 8 of these, which is the average numbers that most of our people have. Duplexes. I love duplexes. So my first property actually was a 3-family house that I ever bought. And it just made sense to me. 3 tenants under one roof, in this case, 2 tenants under one roof in a single family home neighborhood. And that's what we do a lot in Ocala. We're able to build these nice duplexes in single family home neighborhoods where someone who normally wouldn't be able to afford to live there can. And with their family, they almost feel like they have their own home, their own backyard. And so they fill quickly and they're very desirable. And it's odd. Most people say, holy cow, you can still buy a duplex for under $400,000. Again, Ocala greater area, which is Ocala, Citrus Springs, Inverness. This is the area we found not only a shortage of housing, but great affordability with the land we've been able to get into, the building that we do there. And that's how we can do this. And again, you look at this, go to that insurance number again, $92 a month. $92 a month for full coverage insurance on a 2-unit building. The cash flow will produce a little higher. And again, you look at the 5-year hold, $210,000. That's with some conservative numbers. Again, Jennifer can go through exactly how we come up with this. It's a very simple formula. That's what I love about these houses. We're talking 7th grade math, and that's the 5-year hold. And when you look at those 2 numbers, yes, I love that $700 a month coming in, guys, but it's the 5-year hold, the time in the market that has made me a multimillionaire. So again, you want to look at all ways, but these little solid soldiers, single families and duplexes are what you can build your entire real estate portfolio on. And as long as you're not trying to, again, time the market or force things too quickly, and you just have a little bit of patience, you can have cash flow, a real net worth, generational wealth that can be passed down, especially with the new construction model that has the ability of longevity. And our most successful investors, guys, they own 3 to 8 properties. We're not talking a ton of properties. Remember what I talked about before, own less of better quality. And again, does that mean you have to buy 5 properties tomorrow? No, but if you work with someone like Jennifer or our property counselors, they'll look at your overall financial assessment. What can you get into now and what can you build forward into using different techniques like refinance and moving the money forward, things we've done for many clients. And you can get to this 3 to 8 property mark. And when you get between 3 to 8 properties, and we've had people go to 15, 20, 25, 28 properties, but if you get to this number right here, you do have resource to fall back on. Just like you saw Tom, who I showed further, a little further back. You have a financial resource, a side business that doesn't take you a lot of time. And again, our goal for any of these people is that they are not spending more than 1 to 2 hours a month just overlooking their portfolio, staying in touch with their portfolio manager, or with Jennifer or one of our other counselors who continues to stay on the long term. I mean, Jennifer's been working with some of the clients now for over a dozen years, and they're still buying a property here and there, which is great to see. So Adam's another one that was an experienced real estate investor, more experienced than Tom. Tom had some experience, but Adam had done a lot of real estate investing, was also in the mortgage business, but he never liked to go outside of his backyard. Adam was very particular. He was a do-it-yourself. Our families became friends, but I remember the first time meeting them in Jacksonville, there was a lot of questions, good questions, but man, a lot of questions because they were do-it-yourselfers and they didn't want to leave Salt Lake, except the numbers weren't working in Salt Lake anymore. And Adam is one of our definitely unique success stories because he saw what he saw here that he could not get in Salt Lake, but he felt he could have gotten it there a few years ago and he felt he missed it. I'm not missing this one. And he went pretty active with buying different quads, duplexes, single family homes, and then also buying into other properties that I didn't even get him here. He really got entrenched in the area, moved here part-time, and he allowed me to share his numbers. He's over $20,000 a month in cash flow now, over $20,000 a month. And even better, crutching, up on 3 million in equity. And that was just in a 4-year run. It's probably higher now. That was just after his 4-year assessment. So we love, again, having stories. And Adam said, I'm so glad I didn't let my experience keep me only in Salt Lake, but move me forward into a market with better fundamentals like we're doing in these second-tier markets in Florida still today. So remember, guys, asset owners win. Asset owners win. It doesn't have to be fancy. Job security loses. You just can't keep up. You can't plant seeds in a job because the paycheck stops. You got to plant your money as it comes in into assets, not all of it, but a portion of it. And that's what I started off doing 26 years ago. That first house, I had to save up $26,000 for the down payment, I remember. And this is, again, something that the coaches can coach you through, but you want to start to be a winner with assets. Again, this is just one of our recent customers from Whitecoat. Just sharing the Whitecoat investors. There's probably a few of you guys on here. We love working with our doctor community. And Ashraf had a great relationship with his property counselor, not only with the loan process, picking the property, loading up all of his needs with Suncoast Property Management, and he moved into his second property right away. I love seeing stories like this, and I can't wait to see where Ashraf's going to be, in the next 2 to 3 years. Amina, another doctor, coincidentally, she was a young doctor, a great infectious disease doctor in New York. She didn't want to retire. She wanted to supplement her income. Tom was ready to retire. Amina's ready to keep going. And now she's, after buying her first 3 and then going into another 2 properties, is almost at $6,000 a month cash flow. And again, that took a little bit of time to grow that way, a few years to get it up to that. And then her equity is nearing about 800,000. So she's going to have quite a good situation, I can predict, when she's ready to retire. And she said, no, we're close to retirement, but I really like to see these things keep growing. So why would you want to join our investor community? Access to educational videos and market updates. I spend a lot of time researching, networking. You can see I was with Kiyosaki last week in Orlando, trying to find out what's really happening, where are the avenues we should really be focusing on. And I try to share those market updates on a bi-weekly and monthly update with you. And so all the information we get, we share with our people. We also try to provide that done for you program. If you decide it is the right thing to start owning your own real estate, we try to really lay out a system you can follow with one-on-one coaching to help you achieve the goals. What's the right properties for you? What's the wrong ones? Set a plan and help implement it. And that's with us holding your hand through the entire process. We never want you to feel alone, but we also want you to feel like a part of the process. And again, the delivery for us, build right, finance right, manage right. That's what we do for you. And we've built in an ongoing coaching with support systems. Someone like Jennifer has been still working with hundreds of her clients over the last decade plus. And we try to be there for the lifetime of the property. I know Jennifer will get a person and say, hey, it's been 9 years. I think I'm going to sell. I have a lot of equity. We love to hear that story. That they might be 1031 exchanging it forward into another. We didn't talk about 1031 exchanges tonight, but we're there for the lifetime of the property. And that's one of the biggest compliments. A lot of our people that buy a property go on to buy 2 or 3 more because they see the worth, they see the goal, and we're able to help them achieve that. So if you are interested in learning more, I've always said 30 days in the classroom are not equal to 1 day in the field. What you can get for 1 day in the field, like we do on our In the Trenches bus tour, is really irreplaceable. You can come in for the day. You're going to be able to go through our office, see all our systems from property management to our development, to our estimating, everything that runs a big build-to-rent system. You're going to be able to see behind the scenes on, and then we're going to go out into the market, see projects in different stages, and what's actually striking the growth where we are. Because once you see that, normally people get pretty excited to be a part of what we're doing. So again, the next one is going to be July 11th. We'll send out information on that. We'd love to have you here if you have any questions. And also, remember, go to Jaidyn@18summers.com or write in the chat box, I want a book. If you'd like a free copy of the book mailed to you, just send us your email. We'll get your mailing address from you. We'll send out a free copy. It was a USA Today bestseller, sells for $22.95 at Barnes & Noble's. We're going to give it to you for free. Jennifer, do we have any questions from anyone in the chat box?
Not yet. We do not.
Okay. Well, some people I know earlier today were asking me, what's the first thing you would do to get started? The first thing I would do to get started would be set a discovery call with one of the property counselors. They're experienced real estate investors, worked with many of property investors before, and they can help you figure out kind of what your starting point and if we're a good match for you or not. The one thing I've learned about the discovery call, you might find out we're not a good match for you, but we can point you in a direction of someone that might be. And again, that gives clarity, that gives direction, and that's absolutely priceless. And normally, whether we're right for you or not, we really encourage people to get pre-qualified with our preferred lender. It is an amazing feeling to not think that you can qualify to be able to service debt, to be able to get debt from the bank, to help build your portfolio, and you find out that yes, you are qualified. I can't tell you how many times we do that, and you might actually be surprised what you qualify for. And you want that clarity, because so many people, I know Jennifer's seen this tons of times, so many people will say, you know what, I'm finally ready, I want this property, and the property's gone. They miss it by a couple of days because they're getting pre-qualified with a lender. What we like to do is get pre-qualified with a lender. There's no obligation to move forward or anything like that, but see where you're standing, see where your finances are at. They're, again, expert real estate investment lenders, and they'll be able to tell you, hey, here's what we're seeing. Hey, this would help you be even more lendable to. And so I encourage you, get pre-qualified. There's no obligation. You'll see where you stand. And then if a great deal came across, you're able to bounce on it right away. And we've seen, again, way too many get lost by that happening. But for people that are pre-qualified, they're able to do that. And plus, you want to know where you stand financially. So those are the two things that I would do.
Well, and our preferred lender also can walk through the different options on, what would make the most sense. If it's not a 10-year adjustable, it could be a 30-year fixed. So it's good to have that conversation as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Insurance. So insurance, again, I want to stress that because they say, can you get insurance in Florida? Yes, you can. New construction has a much better preferential treatment than other properties. Again, like I mentioned, 2004, everything changed. Old houses near the beach, you used to be able to build at 2 feet above sea level, 3 feet above sea level. We're building further inland, first of all, away from the water. But secondly, we're building at 14 feet above sea level. That's a huge difference for any builders out there. That puts it in a totally different situation. The other people that know that are the insurance companies. So insurance companies, an old house, 2 neighborhoods away in a certain area could have 5 times the insurance rate as a new construction just a mile away. And that's the power of new construction and why I like to work with it.
And I put our contacts information in the chat box.
Excellent.
Follow me.
All right. Favorite market. So favorite market, again, all of the markets that we build in Florida have those 5 fundamentals. We will not build there unless we have management set up. And if there is, if there's those 5 factors: population growth, economic growth, affordability, desirability, healthy supply and demand. So I like all of our markets in Florida. We're in Jacksonville, Palm Coast, Greater Ocala area, and Southwest Florida. I like them all. If I had to pick one right now, Ocala was my #1 pick for this year because of some growth patterns, some things happening with industries like manufacturing, and just the price points and rents there are really healthy right now. So I'd say Ocala is probably my favorite at this time.
I do have a couple questions here from Larry. So the
Okay.
first thing is he wants to know if getting the prequal with a lender, is it going to affect his credit score by
Okay.
getting prequal?
Yeah. So I hear about this hard pull, soft pull all the time. To get your credit pulled from a lender is a necessity. It has to happen, and it can drop your score an average of 2 to 5 points for a short amount of time, sometimes as short as a few weeks to a month, sometimes 2 months. But one thing that I've never heard of an experienced real estate investor is a concern about this. And the problem is, I know a lot of people have made a concern about this. I love to have my credit pulled because I know if a lender's get me a great loan, I'm ready, and that's going to bounce back right away. So you are getting what's called a hard pull, but you're talking a very, very minimal amount, possibly sometimes 2 to 5 points of a credit score difference for a short amount of time. And that's, again, questionable if it even happens, because sometimes it only happens if you're pulling your credit multiple times. So it does happen, but again, the reward, I can't stress that enough, is so much bigger on the other side, and the other is very temporary.
Okay, and the other question is he wants to know if we can work with him if he's got an existing lot that he bought a while back in Cape Coral. So essentially a build on your lot, which
Uh,
we can, you just still would need to get pre-qualified, either with your own lender, if you were doing like a construction to permanent loan, just to know where you were with that. And then, or if you wanted to use, our incentives on the financing, you can go that route as well. But either way, you would still want to get pre-approved, and then we can from there, give you an idea of what can be built, based on your lot, the address, get the parcel number, and see if it's single family or duplex.
yeah, exactly.
Yep, and we can send the info on that if you want to reach out and send your information over on your property.
Yeah, we've done several of those for sure. Good. Well, any other questions?
Right now I don't have anything else.
Good. Well, listen, I appreciate you guys joining us tonight. I know sometimes it feels like we're drinking from an open fire hydrant, but it does start to make more and more sense. Again, if you're looking for more learning education, I would just book a consultation call with your property counselor. Find out where you stand, if we're a good match, review some of the principles of what we do, some of the case studies, and can be a great way to learn and to ready yourself for whatever that is. I do recommend real estate investing, obviously. And the reason why is because it's changed my life, and I love to see it change our investors' lives as well. So with that, thank you for joining us tonight. Jennifer, thank you for moderating. We'll look forward to hopefully speaking to you guys soon. And again, if you'd like to really dive in, please join us on July 11th for our First Friday tour. Spend the day in the field with us. I think you'll learn a lot and definitely see the potential of why we get excited with what we do. Great. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. Take care.